Okay, people, we're back. I hope everybody can start coming back into the room. I'm going to go onto my Facebook page and start a watch party just in case of anything. Um, sorry for the technical dip. I'm really just going to go to StreamYard's face and offices, and I am just going to go, punch an executive in the face because this is like really, 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 really ridiculous. So let me just share this with everybody. I'm going to share this there. And yeah. So let me just do one more thing. I'm sorry about this. Just bear with me. We're going to start the show in a second. And I'm going to bring these two gentlemen on, and we're just going to jump in. Okay? All right, cool. Here we go. So we have 6 people in the room. So tonight we're going to be speaking to addiction, as I said earlier. I have 2 guests, a Mr. Marc David Valentine and a Mr. Rickyy Adorno. In 1 second, I'm going to bring them into the room. They can tell you who they are, specifically by their own mouths. And then we're going to start the conversation. So let's get this rolling. Well, good evening, everybody. For those that have made it, I'm Mr. A. Welcome to the set. Today is Sunday, and we are about to get into this conversation. So right now, I want to introduce our first guest, Mr. Rickyy Adorno. Rickyy Adorno is a counselor, and he helps bring people back from very dark places. Rickyy, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, brother. First of all, thank you for having me on your show. Like you said, my name is Rickyy Adorno, and I'm a person in long-term sustained recovery. What that means to me is that I haven't had the need or the desire to have a drink or any drug that alters my mind. And since August 25th of 2010.
Wow. 10 years. Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
Salute. Let's bring in our
We
next
do
guest.
recover.
Yes, sir. Our next guest is a Mr. Marc David Valentine. Mr. Marc, welcome to the set. Please introduce yourself to the audience and say a little bit about yourself as well.
What up, brother? Thank you for having me, man. First of all, thank you for having me. What's up, Rickyy? How you doing?
What's going on, brother? I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, man. Got blessed to be clean, brother.
You already know.
Yeah, I've been clean about 16 years now. Recovery, if you want to call it that. I used for 25 years, but we're gonna get into that. But Marc Valentine, man, clean about 16 years.
Awesome. Gentlemen, welcome to the set. I know that this topic is a very, very personal one. And first of all, I want to extend my gratitude and appreciation to you both for coming and sharing your story with everybody in the audience, because again, addiction is not something that is pretty, it's not easy, and people that suffer from addiction, there's so many layers to it, and I understand that being open to share that story takes a lot of guts, right? You have to be built a certain way. So, again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. So, now that we understand, we have about 30 to 40 years of sobriety in the group right now. What I want to do is I'm going to ask Rickyy, and then Marc, I want you to take the step after him. Rick, where did your addiction start, and how young were you when it started?
My addiction started in Amsterdam, New York. I was about 13 years old. When I started hanging out with the cool kids, the kids that were skipping school and and drinking and smoking weed. Those are the type of friends that I was enticed by. Um, I grew up in the Lower East Side. That's where my story started, though. Um, I grew up with. I was raised by my grandmother, two of my sisters, and my dad. Um, I don't have too much memory of having conversations with my dad. What I do remember vividly about him is that um, he was always nodding. He was always, not present. I can recall that. My grandmother was she was a strict, stern woman. Um, and she was angry that she had already raised her kids, and here she is raising another three kids that wasn't hers. Um, my father, he ended up catching AIDS from sharing needles, and I was 12 years old when I seen my father die of full blown AIDS. Um, if anybody ever seen somebody die of full blown AIDS, is the most horrific thing that you could see a person die of. Um, I remember being in the hospital, and my grandmother wanted me to go, and give him a hug, and I couldn't because, to me, I was looking at a monster. It wasn't my father laying there. It was a whole different person. And my addiction started through trauma. Um, I was physically abused a lot by my grandmother. God rest her soul. I love her today, for I understand. It took me a lot of years to understand why, but I figured it out, and I hold no grudges against her. She was a beautiful woman. She did the best she could, raising three kids that wasn't hers. Um, so at 12 years old, I moved upstate to see to I came with my mother, and I grew up in Campos in the Lower East Side, and we had roaches, we had rats, in the cereal at nighttime, the roaches was in the milk, and that type of life. And then I move upstate, and my mother's got a 5 bedroom house, Monte Carlo, a Harley Davidson. She's living a whole different life from what I'm used to. And my mother was a cocaine dealer, and everything she had was, from drug money. Um, so I was only with my mother for about a year and a half, and they took her to the cops, and she ended up going to jail. And at that time, I had already met a lot of friends in Amsterdam, and I just decided to, take to the streets. Um,
So let me
so
ask
the
you.
streets pretty much raised me.
Let me ask you a
I
question, Ricky.
at 14 years old, I was introduced to heroin. Uh, I only did it 2 times where I sniffed it, and the third time, somebody was telling me about how better it was if I shoot it up, and I tried that, and that started a whole new world of just chaos. Um,
Ricky, Rick.
it was a long 24-year battle. Uh, it took me places where I never thought that I would go in my life. Um,
Ricky.
at my end, I was doing things. I was hurting the people that love me the most, and why wouldn't we? That's what us addicts do. We destroy people that say that they love us. We uh we become master manipulators. We become just I was just this evil person. I wasn't me no more. I lost myself at 14 years old, when some of my friends were still playing with GI Joes and Barbies. I was I was sticking needles in my arm, looking for the next bag. How am I gonna get it? Uh, because the first couple times it was free, and then when I got sick, the dealer wanted $20. Yeah, upstate is 20. It was $20. It wasn't $10 like in the city. So it was an expensive habit.
Rickyy,
So
can
by
you
any
hear me?
means necessary, I did whatever I had to do to get it.
Rick, can you hear
Um,
me?
and I'm not gonna it wasn't only heroin. I at 15 I tried crack cocaine, and I became addicted to that as well. So I was a 15-year-old crackhead dope fiend, uh,
Ricky,
in a life, in a world of just madness.
Ricky, can you
Um,
hear me?
Eventually my mother came home. My mother changed her life, um, but I didn't.
Can anybody
So
hear
now
me?
that my mother changed her life, and I saw that she was doing good, I was like, okay, well, this is the woman that always looks at me and tells me that she loves me so much, that I'm her baby and this and that. Uh, and sadly to say that this was the woman that I took the most advantage of. Um,
It seems like Rick can't hear me. Rick, Mark, can you hear me?
I can hear you, my brother.
All right, Rick, can you hear me? Because
Sorry.
I don't think he's hearing me.
Rick,
Yeah, he's not hearing me. I
I
don't.
can't hear you,
welcome to the
Ernest.
world of technology.
My shit is on blast. All right, Rick, stand by. Rick,
Can you see me?
I can
I
see
can't hear you,
everything.
Ernest.
The
Now we're
world
gonna
of
double up.
technology.
Just stand by.
Rick, stand by.
I'm gonna bring Mark in. All right.
Can you see me?
I
can't hear you,
Ernest. The world of technology. Just stand by. Rick, stand by. I'm gonna bring Mark in. All right.
Can you
So
see me?
now,
I can't hear you,
yeah, get that phone away from us. All right. So Mark, let me bring Mark in. Mark, can you tell the audience where your addiction started? How young was you? What place were you in your life? And sort of go along the lines of what Rickyy was speaking to.
Well, I've always been an addict. I was born an addict. I just didn't know I was addicted until I went to stop. Um, so it goes back to being a little kid, and my mother was an alcoholic back in the 70s and the 60s and 70s. And grandma used to drink, and grandpa used to drink, and everybody around used to drink. Drinking was socially acceptable. And they would play, card games in the back, and everybody had the little plastic cup, and they're drinking whatever they're drinking. And I used to go to clean up behind the parties and take a sip here, take a sip there. So I've always been an addict. I just didn't realize I was an addict until I went to stop. But in order to answer your question, I guess in my early 20s, 17 is when I began to use cocaine. A friend of mine's mom was a dealer, and he handed me a glass plate and said, "Try this," and it was Coke. I didn't know what it was. Long story short, I fell in love with it. And that went on for years. You go hang out with your friends, you have a good time, everybody's going to clubs, you're doing what you're doing. And back then, Coke was the thing to do. So Coke, mask, alcohol. So we used to sniff on a regular basis. Like, it was no big deal, because to us, we could stop at any time. Like, I didn't know what addiction was about. I didn't understand that cocaine was an addictive substance. I started selling crack at some point, and the woman that I was with at the time was a heroin addict, and she started smoking crack, and I wanted to find out what it was about, so I started smoking crack. I took a hit to see what the big deal was, and I loved it, and that's where the journey started. It just took off from there, and I didn't realize that I was an addict until I tried to stop. When I tried to stop is when I realized that I couldn't. I had to do it. So that's where my journey started. My journey started as a kid. hating myself, being bullied as a child. I had the perfect recipe for addiction, right? All those things are what addicts are running away from. Yeah. I was molested as a kid by a family member. I was abused by my mom. I was tormented by other kids. I hated myself. So that in and of itself was a recipe for addiction. And I looked to drugs to try to change who I was, to make me numb. Let me clarify. To make me numb, to take me outside of myself. But again, I didn't realize that the substance I was taking was addictive, because at 17, I lived in the street from 17 to 19, homeless. I lived in Brownsville, Brooklyn. I'm from the Bronx and Harlem, is where I ran the streets. So I didn't have an adult figure, if you will, to tell me or to guide me and tell me this is not good. Don't do that. Like most children have their parents tell you, don't do this. I didn't have that. At 17, I was doing what I wanted to do. I was working. I was making some money. At a certain point, I could do what I wanted to do, and that's where my journey began with addiction. If that answers the question.
Wow. People, if you're just joining us now, right now we have a Mr. Rickyy Adorno and a Mr. Marc David Valentine. And what I seem to understand from both these gentlemen is that in some way, shape, or form, their addiction, behind their addiction, the one common denominator was trauma. There was some form of abuse on some level. And I think people should really take note of that when you are raising children, because sometimes it may be evident and it may not be evident to you that somebody is abusing your child, which can ultimately lead to some form of addiction. So I just want everybody to recognize that and keep that at the forefront, with their children. And, just make sure that you watch over them. So, Rick, if you would, you have to, there you go, you unmuted your mic. Okay, so Rickyy was 14, Marc was about 17, 18?
About 17, 18, yeah.
Okay, so now let's get down to the walk in the addiction. So now, you guys are on this, as they call it, the mission, right? You're always on the mission for the get high, right? What were some of the things that you let me ask Marc. I want you to pick up on this first, and then Rick, I'm going to come to you. Can you tell the audience, because I think they would really benefit from understanding what goes on in the street when you're running the street as an addict, the day in and day out routine that you don't really understand, like the hustle, right? Because you're always on that mission to get money to feed your habit.
Right.
So tell the audience what your routine was like. Try to give them as vivid of a picture as you can.
All right. So the first thing I want to say before I get into that, I just read a comment on Facebook, because I'm looking at my phone also, and somebody commented about why would someone want to discuss this? It's our fault that we can't just stop doing or it. I don't want to read the gentleman's exact comment, but I want to address this because I hear this a lot. No one grows up as a child and says, when I was a little kid and you asked me what I wanted to be, I didn't say I wanted to grow up and be a heroin addict or a crackhead.
That's right.
Because let me tell you something, and I mean this from my heart. I wouldn't wish drug addiction on my worst enemy, because there's things that we went through and that we had to do that are unspeakable. 25 years is a long time to suffer. It's easier to die, to get shot and killed, than it is to be a drug addict. And I'm saying that to say addiction, the disease of addiction wants me to suffer as much as I can. It can allow me to, or make me, and then it wants me to eventually die. So for somebody to say that we choose this life is the dumbest shit I've heard in my life. And if you're saying that, You're talking out of your ass, and you know nothing about addiction. So maybe you should keep your comment to yourself and learn something, because I didn't choose to be an addict. All right. So with that being said, the question was, what are some of the things that, we initially, it starts out as a good time. Again, you're having fun, you with your friends, you're getting high, you're doing this, you're doing that. When the ugly side of addiction is, when you find yourself in nasty places with nasty people doing nasty things, and anybody in recovery knows what that means. But it takes you to abandoned buildings. It takes you to alleys that you wouldn't, people wouldn't go to, and there's shit and piss and there's needles all over, and you got a little stem. A stem is, for those that don't know, a stem is something we smoke crack out of. A crack pipe, a stem. We call it a stem. And you got a little stem that's this big, and you're trying to hit it again and again and again. There's nothing in it, and your lips are frying to the point where you got these big blisters on your lip, because you can hear your lips sizzling because it's so little. So when you light it with the flame, it's so hot, your lips begin to sizzle. Look, you wander the streets day and night. Your only mission, your only purpose is to get high again. And then once you get high, you're high for 30 seconds, depending on what you use. And then you got to do it again. And it's just a never-ending chasing of a drug. You take shit from people that you wouldn't normally take shit from. People look at you like you're an animal. They look down on you. I can't explain it other than that. It's a life of the never-ending craving of drugs. I was what they called a functional addict in the end, or the middle, meaning I had a job,
right,
but I still went out at night and did what I did, right? I crept. I went out and got high all night long. So you get paid, and as soon as you get paid, right, you get that feeling in your stomach where your stomach starts flipping, and you got to go to the bathroom because you get that feeling, and you start to shake because your brain knows that now I'm going to go get high when I get out of here. So sometimes you make excuses to leave work early because you just want to take that check and run off to the crack spot or the dope spot or whatever your vice is, and get high. So what I would do, and what a lot of addicts do, is you obviously got to pay bills, you got to pay rent, you want to eat. So I would put X amount of dollars in one pocket and X amount of dollars in the other pocket. And I would say, the money in my right pocket is the money I'm going to use to get high. The money in the left pocket is the money I'm going to use to pay my bills. But it never works out like that, because when you take that first hit being crack, all bets are off. Everything goes. So
yes,
you never pay the rent. You never pay the light. My refrigerator at one point, I had a refrigerator, and the only thing in there ever was water. There was never food, because I'm too busy getting high. You don't want to eat. You want to get high. And when you do eat, you eat something like a Little Debbie, or the soups that you guys put water in. What are they called?
Cup of noodles.
Ramen. We call that crackhead food. You go get a 75-cent ramen. That was dinner. That was lunch. That's what you ate. Why? Because I need to save the money I have in my pocket, because I want to go to the spot and I want to get as high as I possibly can. So you don't eat. Your whole life is centered around drugs and drug addiction and getting high. That makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. But there's something that you touched on that I want Rickyy to speak to. You said something to the effect of, I was a functional addict.
I was a functioning addict.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So, Rick, I want you to speak to being let me frame the question, and then I want you to speak to being a functioning addict. And what I want the audience to understand is, a functioning addict is somebody who you would see go to work every day, right? And they look normal, and you say, hey, Joe, how you doing? Hey, Mary, how you doing? They get in their coffee, they run into the train, they run into work. You see them, they go to work, they come home, and then you don't see them no more. But you see them in the routine of going to work, right? So now, why I want Rickyy to speak to that is because Rickyy is a counselor. And I'm sure Rickyy, as a counselor, sees all walks of life coming in to the facility.
I'm glad you said that. I'm going to address
Yeah.
that when you finish.
No, well, I'm gonna bring Rickyy in because I
No,
want.
that's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine. When he's done.
Um, First, I want to piggyback a little bit off of what Marc was saying. I agree with you 100%. None of us ever woke up. I didn't wake up at 14 and say, let me stick a needle in my arm today. Um, and this is the stigma that we face today. This is why addiction is still such a problem because of the way that people are embarrassed and ashamed. I'm also a family navigator, and I work with families of people that are addicted. And you'd be amazed how many people are still clueless about addiction. How many people, because of the position that they hold, oh, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse. I can't let my coworkers know that my daughter's a crackhead, that my daughter's selling ass, that my son is a crackhead. Um, I look at those people in their faces and I tell them by the time that you're done being ashamed and embarrassed, you're gonna bury your daughter. You're gonna bury your father, your mother, your brother, your cousin, your sister, your titi. You're gonna bury them because of your shame and your embarrassment.
wow.
This is what keeps us at a low is people that have that frame of thought that oh, this was a choice. You made a choice out of say, man, listen, it's not a choice. It's a proven fact that this is a disease. It's a proven fact that addiction is a disease. They just don't pop up. And what I want to say every day, that I work with people every day. I run 7 groups a week. So my job is to interact with people. Um, just last week, my boss told me that I needed to incorporate more TED Talks and more pamphlets and things in my group. And I looked at my boss and I said, if I have to do that, I think my services would be better somewhere else.
Why is that?
I don't because I don't want to sit there. I don't want to talk about TED Talks. I don't want to circle A, B, and C. I want to talk about what's going on. What made you want to use today? Why didn't you use today? Who gives you hope? What made you want to wake up today and keep living? That's the type of stuff I want to talk. I want to talk about real shit. Like who's struggling? Because addiction recover it's a challenging this is challenging. It's not easy. But what I tell my clients is that look at me. I'm hope standing in front of you.
Mm,
It's been over 10 years.
mm.
And I started at 14, bro. So I'm showing people, look at me. This is what can happen. If you gotta decide what you want, you have to want to stay clean. It wasn't my daughters, it wasn't my mother, it wasn't my girl, it wasn't none of that.
Mm.
Nobody could make me stay clean. I had to want it. I was robbing my kids for their food. I was taking my kids Infamil because back then you could get like $30, $40 per can
Wow.
and leaving my kids starving, not worrying about how they was going to get the next meal. I give a lot of credit to their mother because I was always in and out. She never left.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
where I was at. And my mother's like 4'5", 4'4" around there. I pushed her to the fucking floor and I took money out her purse when she was telling me all she had was her bill money.
Wow.
And now, because she wouldn't give me 20, I took the whole everything. I left her
Wow.
without her rent money. She's grabbing my foot saying, Mijo, this is where we at? Like you robbing your mother? And I kick her off of me and tell her to get the fuck off me. Because I had to go get high. And then come back when I was already high talking about, oh, I'm sorry, mommy.
Yo, people, if you're just tuning in, as always, I'm your host, Mr. A. This is the set. Right now, Mr. Rickyy Adorno and Mr. Marc David Valentine are giving you the real, raw, and necessary, necessary talk that we all need to listen to. And hearing this gentleman share this story and talking about his mom is, I applaud your strength and your honesty, because that takes a lot of fucking guts. You know, the woman who carried you in her womb for 9 months, that brought you into this world, the addiction took you from her for a time in your life. And those moments, and I want everybody to understand this, those moments are moments you can't get back. And sometimes that person isn't around for the victory that you reach, right? The person that you would have loved to show like, yo, look at me. I made it out. I'm clean. I'm sober. I'm strong. This is who I'm living like I've always should have lived to my potential. And you can't share that with them. And that is an anchor around people's necks nowadays. And being that we can't be honest with each other in such a way because we're very busy with materialism and keeping up with the Joneses or just our own lives, it doesn't leave room for empathy and understanding to people who are addicted. And that's a fucking shame. It's a shame, you know. But I applaud your honesty, Rick. I really do.
Hey, listen, man. We talked the other day, man. I'm a firm believer. I got a higher power that's amazing. And today I like to think that those people that didn't get to see me live to my full potential, which is my father and my grandmother, I believe they looking down on me today, and they're like, "You go, boy." You know what I mean? I know they see me, and I know they proud of me, and this needed to happen, and this needs to happen more often.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
when you was telling me that you was having problems finding people, you know, to open up and be honest about this, I was like, I wasn't too surprised,
Right.
because I see it all the time. Uh,
Of
and
course.
like I said, this is the world we live in. You know, people that want to say, you know, you made a choice. You had a choice that day not to do it.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
you know, we do have choices. Today, if after this podcast I went out and I did a bag of dope, yeah, that was a poor fucking choice I made. It's
Conscious
definitely a
choice.
choice.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
you know, listen real quick. I was to the point where, you know, uh, I would shoot up in a McDonald's bathroom, right? And I walk out of that bathroom. One day I saw the cops coming my way, and I thought that they were there for me. You know what I did?
Wow.
I took my needle when they wasn't looking at me, and I threw it to my left. You know what was to the left of me?
Cops.
The little balls where the kids swim, those little balls. And that's where my needle fell. And I
Wow.
walked out the door like I didn't give a fuck. Not knowing if I had, you know, thank God, I didn't catch no hepatitis, no AIDS. But I didn't know that back then. I
Right.
didn't know if I had hepatitis or I had AIDS. And here comes a little 4-year-old curious. Oh, what's this? And pokes himself with my needle.
Wow.
That's the type of shit we do, Ernest.
Wow.
You know, if I didn't live it, I told you I don't speak it, man.
That's
I
right.
lived this life, man. We
Now,
we go ahead.
now, speaking about open and honest, Mark, I know Ricky said something earlier that you wanted to speak to, and if you remember what it is that you wanted to say, the floor is yours.
No,
If not, I have.
I was
All right,
listening.
you
I was
you want to
listening
just
to
go?
a story.
Yeah.
Um, I don't remember,
Uh
but
huh.
what I want to say is that anybody that thinks addicts have a stereotypical look, yeah, there's the stereotypical looking crackhead. We know what that looks like. Anybody can be an addict. I've been high with doctors. I've been high with lawyers.
Speak
I've
on
been
it.
high with rich people. I've been high with obviously poor people. You don't know what an addict looks like. We don't wear a sign on our chest that says, I am an addict.
That's right.
Anybody can be an addict. And it doesn't have to be crack, heroin, meth. It doesn't have to be that. It could be abuse of pain medication that you don't even realize. It could
Right.
be any pill you find in the cabinet. We as addicts will use anything we can to take us outside of ourselves. So people that think addicts have this stereotypical look, like there's a stereotypical picture that makes up an addict, they don't know what they're talking about. And to me personally, I only respect people that have walked in my shoes. If you haven't walked in my shoes, then you can't tell me what it feels like to be an addict, because I lived it. I didn't get it out of a book. I didn't go to school and learn it. I lived it. This was my life. I've watched women that were absolutely gorgeous, that had, you would look at them and go, you have everything in the world. Why are you getting high one day? And then the next day they weigh 50 pounds. They're leaning upside a wall. There's shit running down the wall, running down their leg because they're HIV positive, right? And all they want to do is get high. And you can tell she's going to die. You look at her, or he's going to die. Or we're on a stairwell and somebody's shooting up and they OD. And they're dying in front of you because they start foaming at the mouth and their eyes roll in the back of the head and they get pale. And there was no Narcan or whatever you call it. That didn't exist back in the 80s.
Right.
And the funny part is they just died and you got up and ran or left because you didn't want the cops to charge you with the murder. So this person is dying on the stairs and they're dead. You know, I remember my best friend was a girl. Her name was Tisha. At Highbridge Park in Washington Heights, where I used to get high, one of the spots. I remember we were on a roof at one point, and I guess I went to grab something from her, and she said, "Don't touch me. I have the monster." And back then, we didn't know what it was. What's the monster? She was HIV positive, and we didn't know what HIV was at that time. This was in the 80s. And she used to sleep in a mattress in Highbridge Park. And I remember seeing her, and I told her I would see her the next day. I said, "Tia, I'll be back." And I went back the next day, and she was dead on the mattress. Addiction is a horrendous thing. It's horrible. I wouldn't wish addiction on my worst enemy. Stealing from family and friends, that's the easy shit. That's the light shit. We've all stole a bunch of stuff. We all lie. It's a symptom of who we are. It's a symptom of our disease. Now let's talk about recovery, right? We've discussed the horrors of addiction. There's a positive side to this. You can get clean. You can recover. I'm living proof. So is he. We're living proof that if you do what you got to do one day at a time, and my 16 years is irrelevant. I wasn't even going to tell you how much I have. Because guess what? I have one day, today. I don't have any other day but today. I didn't get high yesterday. I'm not high right now, but I can't tell you about tomorrow. Me as an addict, I live one day at a time. I practice my principles one day at a time. I know my triggers. So if I feel some kind of way, I learn to talk about it. So any addict out there listening to us and you're ashamed of being an addict, let me tell you something. I got 5,000 Facebook followers. I don't know how many people are watching this live. I'm a crackhead I'm a crackhead heroin addict. Ain't no shame in my game. I tell everybody, because you never know who's going to identify and say, you know what? I needed to hear that. I know I can talk to you now. Mm-hmm. If I hide it, there's an addict out there that needs to hear this message. Our job, my sponsor always said, I can't keep what I have unless I give it away. That's my sponsor always told me that, right? I got to give it away freely. It was given to me freely. I got to give it away freely. I got to share my story, not for me. I mean, it helps me, but I'm saving somebody else's life.
That's right.
You say me and Rickyy are saving some addict right now that they don't know what to do. They're either getting high or they're high. Their family member, they don't know what to do. They haven't had access to what me and Rickyy have had access to. They're not in recovery. So they don't know what to do. They're at wit's end. Their family members like, fuck him. I'm throwing him out. Get him out of here. Get her out of here. They're trash. They're this, they're that. They're none of the above. They're in pain. They hate themselves. So by you telling them they're trash, you're only contributing to what they feel about themselves anyway, right? They hate themselves. That's why they're getting high, because we as addicts don't want to feel. If I'm happy, what do? I want to get a blast. I'm fucking happy. Let's go get high. If I'm sad, fuck it. Let's go get high, right? We as addicts, we don't want to feel anything. But the
People.
positive side of that is, again, there's a whole world of people that will help you recover. I don't want to put any names. We don't, us in the program, we don't use any kind of acronyms.
Right.
But Rickyy knows what I'm talking about. We can recover one day at a time. We can get better. The addiction is not. It's a forever process. I'll always be an addict till I die. The only difference is I'm not an active addict today. I'm an addict that has some principles in my life today. I'm an addict that talks to other addicts. I could talk to Rickyy. We could probably talk all day about we call them war stories. Me and Rickyy could probably share war stories all day long, laugh and joke. Yo, did you do this? Yeah, I did that too. It's not important. The story, we call it horror stories. Right. Our horror stories are not important for me. What's important is the message of recovery. What's important is to talk to that person right now, telling them you don't have to die. You don't have to get high anymore. You can get better. You can get better. You just have to raise your hand, pick up the phone, and call someone and say, you know what? I'm tired of getting high. I remember my first meeting that I went to. I was sitting on a wall on Pelham Parkway. It was Labor Day weekend. I had an eviction notice on my door. I used to sleep on a pillow that I got out of a funeral home from a dead. It was in a casket, and I stole the pillow because I used to work in a funeral home at that time. I stole the pillow and I stole the little cover that used to go over the body, and that's what I slept on, right, in my apartment that had no furniture, right? And it was an eviction notice on my door because I hadn't ever paid my rent. I never paid my rent, so they were going to evict me. And I'm sitting on the wall Memorial Day weekend. Everybody's cooking, and I'm alone. I had been smoking crack all night, right, with a chick that was HIV positive. Now, if you want to tell the truth, let's tell the truth. She was HIV positive, right? I had been sexing her. Didn't know she was HIV positive. And we're telling the truth now, right? My girl is listening to this. The whole world's listening to this. And as I'm sexing her, I asked her, and she said, I'm HIV positive. Like, get the fuck off of me. Thank God I always wore protection, right? It saved my life because I was tested multiple times after that. And thank God I came up negative multiple times. But I'm sitting on the wall from having been smoking all night long. And I was at wit's end, and I didn't know what to do anymore. I'm alone. I don't know what to do. I want to get high. So I called. I think I had my cell phone, and I called Narcotics and I'm gonna say the name, or Narcotics Anonymous hotline. They connected me with somebody, and the person said, "Hold on, I'm gonna get you somebody." And they put me in connection with a priest who worked in a church, right? And the priest said, "Well, I can't help you, son. But I know we do have meetings here. And I know the meetings go on this day and that day. And I think one of the people's here, hold on one second." And he put me on the phone with a person from this organization. And I had no idea who they were. And this person said, I can help you save your life, man. I love you. And I don't know him. I love you. I want you to meet me here. I'll take you to get something to eat. And then we're going to take you to your first meeting. And from that day on, I knew that there was hope. I realized I don't have to get high anymore. Now, I relapsed a bunch of times after that. But what we say in recovery is keep coming. Keep coming. You'll finally get it. And it took a long time. And I have the same sponsor for damn near 17 years. It took a long time for me to understand what surrender meant, right? So I had to say to my sponsor one day, I said to him, what the fuck is this? I don't mean to curse. What's this surrender stuff? Like, how do you do it? I don't understand. What is it? He says to me, how long you been clean? I said, well, I just celebrated another year. He said, you surrendered. Surrendered? He said, brother, you stop fighting. You don't have to get high no more.
Yes,
welcome.
Sir. People.
So with that being said, man, we can, again, me and Rick can go over horror stories all day long. We can talk about the war all day long, right? That's not what's important. What's important is that people understand that you can recover. You can get better. You can go on and live an amazing life. You can. Addiction is not a death sentence. You don't have to die getting high. You don't. And if you don't believe me, ask Rickyy. He'll tell you. He's clean too. My sponsor is damn near 20 years clean. He'll tell you, we get better. We do recover, and we go on to do big things, right? We go on and open things and become productive members of society, and we get jobs, we get married, we go to college. We do whatever we want to do. We start living our dreams again, right? We become the people we were supposed to be. But now we're 10 times better than we were before, because Ricky's a different man than he was 20 years ago. He's not that same dude. He had to take some personal inventory. He had to learn to change some bad behaviors, right? I bet you if you ask him, he'll tell you that, because I know I have to take personal inventory on a regular basis, because if I don't, then I'll revert back to the old behavior. So I don't lie. I make sure I don't cheat, because that's old behavior. That's the old me. And if I start doing that stuff again, then I'm only bringing up that old dude that I don't ever want to be again. So again, we can go through this all day long, but you don't have to die an active addict, man. You can recover. You can recover. Trust me. I'm living proof. So is Rickyy.
People, if you're just joining the show, man, this is an incredible exchange of information. These two gentlemen, Mr. Valentine and Mr. Adorno, are giving you the unfettered truth about their lives and their journey. And I'm sitting here, I'm in awe of their honesty, and I applaud it. And I especially want everybody that's watching the show to understand that this isn't anything to be ashamed of at all. We all have friends. We have family members. We all know. And we should stop allowing. And I have to say this even on a personal level. I had to learn this the very, very, very hard way. So I think that the universe has a way of putting people in your life and in your path. And I know these two gentlemen by that very principle alone. The universe put both of these gentlemen in my path, and I think this is part of the reason why they did it. Because one day I was going to start this podcast, which I had spoken to Mr. Valentine about 2 years ago. And one day I was going to meet Rickyy either online or another form, and he happens to be tied into people that I know and love. And boom, here he is with an incredible story, right? So I am a firm believer in the universe aligning to make things happen. And this is the product of what you see here now, right? So what I want to ask now is, Rick, when, and I want you both to speak on this. So I'm going to start with Rickyy. What was the moment, because Marc spoke to his moment of coming into recovery, right? Could you speak in depth or in detail about your moment of hitting what they call rock bottom and what brought you to recovery? I think that's important for people to hear and understand.
This is the hardest part to talk about.
No, brother,
but
do it.
But I've made it easy in my journey. So my last day, I was in the bathroom with a needle full, a 38 caliber. My kids banging on the door for me to come out the bathroom because they wanted to play with me. And I'm looking in the mirror contemplating suicide. Wow. The evils in my head were just telling me that I was never going to change, that my kids are going to grow up to hate me. I'm just a worthless junkie. Kill yourself. Wow. Kill yourself. Like I said, man, my higher power, whom I choose to call God, he intervened that day, and I guess I didn't have the courage to pull the trigger, because I ended up putting the gun in my mouth and cocking it back. I just couldn't find the courage to do it. So what I did was I put the gun down and I shot the whole needle in my arm. Maybe thinking that would kill me, but it didn't. I just woke up the next morning, sick as hell. And that morning I just made a decision. Hey, Marc, that morning I surrendered. And I said, I don't want to die like my father. I got 5 daughters, man. If I take off my hat, you'll see. Um, and I just felt like they needed me, and I needed. I wanted to live, man. I spent 24 years giving to evil and doing bad. Uh, I had a lot of breaks because I think God intervened 36 times when He sent me to a county jail, and 3 times He sentenced me to prison. Um, so there was a lot of intervention as well. I believe all those times my life was saved. Hence, what brought me to where I'm at today. Um, I don't regret nothing. Uh, I've made peace with my higher power. So you see where I'm sitting right now is my bed, and I sleep a good 8 hours at night. Um, I I do good. I do good when nobody's watching me, and
That's
that's
right.
why I stay blessed every day.
Say that
Every
shit,
morning,
brother.
every morning I wake up. Today, 10 plus years later, when I look in the mirror, I'm talking some handsome shit. Some you handsome boy, go out there and do something good for the people. It's no longer kill yourself. It's go show hope to the hopeless. And I just want to say, man, that I live a sober life. I live a high on pure life. I live a beautiful life. Out fucking loud, we do recover, and I'm not anonymous.
That's
Um,
right.
and like you said, Ernest, the universe works in a way, man, where where things happen, and here we are. And I'm so grateful for this happening today. Uh, you could spread my name. I don't build such a solid foundation. I can get somebody into a rehab bed on a Sunday. Uh, that's the type of people I have in my life today. That they're willing on a Sunday to take time out their day and get somebody help. That's the type of people I'm with every day now. Um, and it don't matter. I help people from New York City, from Vermont, from Pennsylvania, from Philadelphia. It don't matter. You just call me, say what you need, what it's about, and I'll do whatever I can to help you. And if I can't, I'm gonna find somebody that can.
Listen, man. People, I had been mulling over having this show for so long, and salute to Mr. Lopez. I see you, my brother. I have been mulling over having this show for so long because, like I said earlier, this topic touches home. It just does. Um, I myself can talk to alcoholism. I myself can talk to substance abuse. Not me personally, not me as an addict, but people that I love that share not only genes with me, but have shared meals with me, have shared shelter with me. People that I love truly, right? And I've watched them. I've watched them go from being this amazing human being and doing things in their life and diminishing and turning into somebody that I don't recognize, a shell, if you would, of their true self, right? And in that moment, there's two things that happen. We as humans become reflexive and judgmental. Immediately, we want to say things like, "Oh, like you guys spoke to earlier, it's a choice. You chose to be that way. You're a piece of shit," right? Nah. Then there's the second part, the love, the genuine, unconditional love that you have for this person puts you in a position that you are willing to jump on the cross with them. Whether it be a meal, whether it be a shower, whether it be giving them money before they hit the door to go run out into the street, but you put yourself out there for them because you love them that much, right? And that walk, in that pain, that's where I can meet you, gentlemen. I haven't walked in your shoes, but I know what it is to be around an addict and love them unconditionally and to suffer because I'm watching the person that I love disappear, right? But the reason I'm happy that you guys came on is because now, now, through your journey and through your struggle, you can tell the people unabashedly, not shy, no fucking hair on your tongue, your stories of triumph and victory, right? And that's what I want to come to now, right? So, Marc, I want you to share right now, where are you in your life, and what's going on with you, right? Speak to the things that you're doing now with yourself.
All right. Well, the first thing I'm going to say is before I hit that is I don't want it. I don't want people to think this is easy,
Yes.
right? This is not a cakewalk. This is probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, was stay clean one day at a time. I can't think of anything else that I've ever had to do that was this hard. The second thing I want to say is you can't get anyone clean. They have to want it themselves.
Say
So
that again.
if you have a family member that you're saying, you need to get clean, or I'm going to take you here, or I'm going to do this for you, or they have to want it for themselves. And sometimes, and this is tough love, sometimes they have to hit rock bottom. And now everyone has a different rock bottom, but sometimes they have to hit their bottom before they move up. You can't save anyone's life. Recovery is an extremely selfish situation. Why? Because I got to do for me now. I got to do me. I got to get me better, because I can't do for you unless I do for me. I can't be a good mate to you unless I become a better person for me, right? So if you're out there trying to save someone, you're not going to save anybody. They have to make an admission for themselves and say, you know what? I'm sick and tired, like we say, of being sick and tired, and I want to get better. And from that day forward, and it's not an instantaneous situation, right? We didn't get high today and become homeless tomorrow. It took a long time before we got to that point. It was a lot of getting high before we got to that point. And it's the same way with getting better. Because you make an admission today that, hey, I want to get better, doesn't mean your life's going to be better tomorrow. That's not what that means. You got to put work in. You got to put a lot of work in. I mean, you got to put a lot of work in. And eventually, and I'm going to get to what you just asked for, you just asked me, you can have and do whatever it is you dream of, right? But you got to do the work. My sponsor would always tell me, you got to do the work. It's just like the bottom line. You got to do the work. So to answer your question, today God is good. Well, God is good every day. I just ignored it before, right? God wanted me to go right. I said, God, I'm going left. Wasn't God's fault. That was mine. Today I have a higher power. Where I never believed in anything before, today I have a higher power. God has put an amazing woman in my life who I love to death. Anybody follow me on Facebook knows I blast her all over the place, but she's an amazing person. I have a wing business, y'all guys. I like to say I own one of the hottest wing businesses, the #1 chicken wing business in New York City. I like to say that, arguably, right?
Yes, sir.
We have money in our pocket today, where 20 years ago, I couldn't walk with money in my pocket. Man, that shit would have been going faster than fast. I would have been off to the Rip Flacco. Man, I'd have had a bag of crack. So today I got money in my pocket. Today I have a bank account, not one, but two. Today, it's not about materialistic things, but today we have materialistic things that at some point I didn't ever think that I would get to that point. Like there was a time that I couldn't see not getting high. Like that's it. I'm going to smoke crack and do dope for the rest of my natural days. Today, I live a normal life. I didn't see the sun for 25 years. And people are going, what the fuck you mean you didn't see the sun? I didn't mean to curse, the G-rated show.
No, it's not G-rated. Let it rip.
I can curse?
Hell yeah.
I didn't see the sun.
What the fuck you want?
I didn't see it for 5 years. I went under the stairs with a crack pipe. I took a hit, and I came out 25 years later. And what that means is, yes, the sun was shining, but I was too busy chasing crack and heroin to see the sun, to feel the breeze, to see a bird and enjoy the water and the ocean and put my feet and say, yo, I like this.
I'm alive.
I didn't see that for 25 years because I was too busy getting high. Today I could see the sunshine. Today was the beautiful day. I saw the sun, right? It's the breeze. I felt the wind. And we as addicts, let me speak for myself, I appreciate little things like a bird. Because before I didn't even notice that shit. I'm too busy running around trying to get high. What the fuck is a bird? I just want to fucking smoke. Give me another hit. That's all I fucking want. But today you see things. You get to feel. I get to cry. I get to laugh. I get to be hurt. I get to be angry. I get to be like a normal person. Right. But today I know how to deal with my emotions. Today I know my limits. I know, there's some things I can do. There's some things I can't do. So, again, it's not about materialistic things. If materialism is what you're chasing, yeah, you can get that too. Right. You can get anything you want to do as long as you don't pick up. We have a saying in recovery: if you don't pick up, you can't get high. That's right. And as long as you don't get high, the world is yours. You can do any goddamn thing you fucking want to do as long as you don't pick up. But the moment you pick up, all bets are off. I've released my disease again, and I'm off to the fucking races. And I'll sell and rob you. I'll sell and rob him. I'll sell and rob every motherfucker on Facebook. I'll sell everything I own fits in a fucking stem. Every fucking thing, my motorcycles, my cars, my house, everything fits in a fucking pipe. It'll be gone in 48 hours. Trust me when I tell you that. So, with that being said, man, recovery is an amazing thing. I congratulate Rickyy on being clean. Side note, not everybody recovers. My mother is 80 years old and she still smokes. She's 80 years old and she still smokes. She still gets high on crack. She still drinks out. She drinks like crazy. And she's 80 years old. So I'm in a position where I thoroughly expect my mom to blow her heart out and not to make it through, not to live, because she's chosen to keep getting high. But that's her choice. I can't make her get clean. Like I can't. I used to get high with my mom back in the day. Like we used to sit and smoke crack together. I can't. And people are going, "What the fuck you mean you smoke crack with your mom?" Yeah, because we didn't have that mother-son relationship because I was abused by my mom. So I didn't look at her as a mother figure. I looked at her by her normal name. She's so and so. Today I love her. I forgive her because she has her own demons to deal with. The only thing is she hasn't dealt with them. That's her choice. I'm not mad. I keep my distance because I know her life. She'll get me high before I get her clean. Yes, sir. So she's still my mother. I still talk to her. I still go visit her, but I keep her at a distance. But I don't want people to believe that everybody gets clean, because everybody doesn't get clean. That's right. Some people don't live. Some people die. Rickyy and I are lucky that we're here to tell you the story, because I'm sure both of us can give you a whole list of people that ain't make it. Yes, sir. They just ain't here no more. Yes, sir. Right? Rickyy and I are here to tell you the story, our story. And being honest, and I'm sure I'm going to hear it later from my girls, like, I didn't know you did that. And why did you? Look, being honest is part of who we are. It's part of who I am. Let me keep it on the eye. It's part of who I am. I don't lie about it. I'm not ashamed of it. I wouldn't change it. I would go through 25 years of addiction all over again, because it made me the person I am today. It put me in the position I am today. Most importantly, it gave me the woman I have today, because without going through that, I wouldn't have been here. I went down that path because it brought me to exactly where I'm at. I wouldn't recommend anybody else doing that shit, because it's one hell of a fucking ride, but now I can look at it and laugh. I can look back on it and laugh. Sometimes I talk to my sponsor on the phone, and we just fucking crack up about fucking crack shit and what we used to do, and we fucking die out laughing, man. We could do that today. We could do that today. Today my knees hurt. Today my back hurts, right? I'm an old nigga now, right? But that's the story, man. That's my story. Most of it. I talk to people everywhere. I still save addicts' lives. Sometimes I go into the hood and talk to other addicts. A lot of them don't want to hear you preaching, because they just want to fucking get high. So they're like, "Yo, can I hold something?" No, because you're going to get high. I'll buy you food, but I'm not going to let you hold nothing, because I know you're going to see Flacco. You're going to get a hit. No, you're not going to do that. But today I try to help addicts when I can. Any addict can reach out to me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. My phone is always on for you, because I am you and you are me. The only difference between me and the addict that's still suffering is today I choose not to use. That's the only difference.
The most important part. Rickyy, before I give you the floor, I just want to once again let everybody know you're watching the set where we bring real people that tell real stories and talk about real shit.
Yo, well, shout out to the set, man. This
Yeah.
is the number one.
Word,
Number one,
word.
yo, this is
Shout
the number
out,
one internet
shout
show
out.
on Facebook, man. Shout out to the
Word,
homie, man.
Yes,
The
we trying
set
to
is
do
the
it.
bomb, man. You ain't watching the set. What are you watching?
What are you
for
doing with your
real.
life on Sunday? Yeah.
Word.
So,
Facts.
Mr. A at the set with my brothers, Mr. Marc David Valentine and Mr. Rickyy Adorno. Rickyy, you hit rock bottom. You've come a long way. You've come out. Where are in your life now? Where are you? What are the things that you're working on? What are the things that are important to you? Take the floor and just, let it all hang out about where you are in life right now.
You already know, man. Listen, man. I'm in a beautiful place in life, man. Um, I'm a recovery counselor for this New Choices Recovery Center in Schenectady. I'm also a certified recovery coach. I'm also a certified Narcan trainer. Um, I have a KSAT-T, but I steered away from that. Uh, Probably took a $10,000 to $15,000 pay cut because with a KSAT, I wouldn't be able to express myself. I wouldn't be able to tell my truth. And if I can't tell my truth, I wouldn't want to be doing this work at all. I want people to know that if they took off my shoes and they lived a life of addiction, they could probably walk in the motherfuckers. Um, yeah, man. Just like Marc, I have an amazing woman that supports everything I do. Listen,
Stacy.
the biggest lie somebody ever told me when I was little is that men don't cry. Uh, it's imperative to cry. Sometimes I cry for no fucking reason.
Amen.
Um,
Yo, amen.
no,
That's
dead ass.
crying.
Sometimes I cry for no reason, and I cry, and after I'm done crying, I feel so much better. That was a fucking lie.
Say
Uh,
that.
and it keeps you on your knees as well. A man is supposed to be tough. A man is supposed to. I know what a man is, and a man cries, and I know that much.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
I've been able to build uh, a relationship with my kids that it's impeccable, man. My daughters look at me today and they're just like, Dad, the way people gravitate towards you, the way people love you, the way people support you. I try to lead by example. And as much good as we talk, I want to talk a little bit about the devil, because I believe in him
Do
just
it.
as much as I believe in God. And sometimes the devil comes at me through anything. Could be one of my kids, but I'm so aware of that because he wants me back. He's still pissed off that I turned my back on him 10 years ago.
That's right.
Um, but like I said, I walk with a higher power that is just unstoppable. Um, like I said, man, I can help. I can help in multiple ways. I'm talking about housing, halfway houses, anything. I can help in that aspect, man. Uh, and my payment, because believe me, in the field I'm in, is not too much money. So it's not about the money for me. Um, I speak with compassion and I talk the way I talk because uh, I'm about this life, man. I'm about this recovery life.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um, and like I said, it's not about the money, man. It's about showing people that we could live a beautiful life, man. We just have to want it. Like Marc said, I've lost so many people in my life, so many people that I love dearly, and I'm gonna continue to lose them. Um, the blessing is that today, when people die, I don't really grieve in a crying way. I grieve in strength. When my friends die or people around me die, it gives me more strength to continue to move forward and to continue to speak my truth. There's nobody that could stop me from speaking my truth. I really don't care who you are. I speak the way I speak. You know, I gotta know how to speak in certain situations. I can't talk to my boss the way I'm talking in this live right now. So we adjust. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. That's where I give credit to the streets for raising me. Because although it wasn't all gravy in the street, they taught me a lot about respect, morals, values, integrity. You know, I credit that to the street for real, for real. Um, I was a 14-year-old in the street, man. And I was October 9th, I was blessed to see my 46th chapter.
Wow.
Happy birthday.
Yeah,
Happy
yeah,
birthday,
thank
brother.
you. Thank you, man. And like I said, man, uh I'm living my purpose today. And my purpose is to help people that are still sick and suffering. My purpose is to show hope to the hopeless. And I think we achieved that here today. And I hope that we could do this again, man, because and I hope that the audience becomes broader and bigger. And I hope that after this, somebody could go and tell their family a little bit of truth about themselves and what they've gone through. I'm pretty sure uh, when people get off of this, they're gonna go talk to somebody and say, "Yo, I just heard these two dudes, blah blah blah, blah blah blah." Because when my people leave my groups, what my payment is when they look at me and they say, "Rickyy, you know, you saved my life today, man. What you said in that group saved my life. What you say in your groups is what keeps me from not using." And that's how I get paid, man. It's not about money, bro. Fuck money. It's about when people look at me, man, and they see that I love them. I could say I love you today, and I really mean it.
Mm,
Because when I was putting needles in my arm, how dare me tell you I loved you?
mm,
I was lying.
yeah. You
But
can't even.
today I could look at you and say, "Yo, I love you, man," and you're gonna feel it because it's genuine. And
Yeah.
that's where I'm at today, man. I'm in a beautiful place, man. I I live a beautiful life, and
And
and believe me, it ain't about like I said. I keep saying money because I'm broke, but you know I ain't like Marc. I ain't got money in my pocket. I got 5 daughters.
Dad.
I don't know how you got money, but let me own something.
yo, listen, this is this is what's so important about these conversations, and I'm gonna key in with what you just said, Rick. If everybody's paying attention, Mr. Adorno just said, it's not about the money. My payment is when I look at my people in my groups and I tell them I love them and they see it and they feel it and I could feel it and they know it's real and it's genuine. That's his payment. What he's saying right there is his calling is making that connection and being a human being, showing empathy and understanding and relating to these people that have suffered like he has suffered and letting them know, you know what? You may feel like nobody loves you. You may feel like you have nobody in your corner. You may feel like there's nobody out there, but you got me, and I'm on your side. And understand that I'll always be here. I'm not going to be the Johnny come lately that I'm going to tell you the good word and then I'm going to be out and see you like 3 weeks from now and expect you to be okay. I'm going to come rock with you. I'm going to fuck with you, and I'm always going to be down with you, right? And that is what is fulfilling and payment to him. Because some people are rich and miserable. I know motherfuckers with money. They say, "Oh, that's what broke niggas say." Yeah, I know people that got money that they're shitty fucking people. They're
For
terrible,
real.
and their kids ain't shit, and they ain't shit. But they got a nice house and 5 cars and mad money in the bank. But tell me what their marriage is like. Tell me if that wife is happy. Tell me
Word.
if that daughter feels validated, that her father sees her and cherishes her and puts her up on a pedestal. You know what I'm saying? Tell me that that son feels fulfilled, that he's making his dad proud. Or that that father looks at his son like, yeah, I love my son, and he spends time with him and makes him feel like, yo, I'm giving the lessons and imparting these things to you so that when you become a man, you can do whatever it is you need to do in life and feel confident and strong. And I always got your back. That's what people need to understand about addiction. It's not just about the individual. It's about the people that surround that individual and love that individual. Because in that love, I've seen this in my family. I've seen my cousins, I've seen my aunt show love and shower love on a family member that was in addiction. And as a teenager, as a young man, I really couldn't connect. Yo, my cousin's wilding out. He's in the street. He's doing this. He's doing that. And they would talk to him like it was nothing. He would be in the street, and they would go give him money, hug him, kiss him. Yo, you good? And then he would, yo, boop, he's out. He's on his mission, right? And I would see that, and I loved my cousin, And I wasn't denying him or downing him, but I didn't understand that part of it. And as I got older and I lost people that I loved, and I witnessed it firsthand, up close and personal, that shit dropped on me like a ton of bricks. Because I finally understood as a man what it is to love somebody unconditionally, especially in that moment. Because you just can't love somebody when the sun is shining, right? And I learned that in marriage. My wife, who is everything to me, being with her taught me what love is about.
Woo.
Because it's not when the sun is shining. It's not when the skies are blue. It's when the fucking hail and the snow and the thunder and everything's coming down, and the only person that's there still battling and moving shit and yo, I'm here, I got you, is that person. That's when you understand what it's about. When you connect on that level with people and you put yourself out there for them the way that you should, that's what makes a difference. And that's what can bring people and help them with their addiction, that unconditional love. People say
That's
that,
it.
you know what I mean? People say that, and it sounds like some Hallmark card shit, right? But let me tell you something. When you experience somebody who loves you for who you are and all your bullshit and all your shortcomings and all your fuck-ups and how you don't fucking measure up or whatever it is, that's the person that fucking loves you. That's the person that got your back. That's the person that'll stand through it all. And that's the people that you keep close to you, right? And with that said, I'm not gonna ramble, but I wanna read something to both of you that I wrote specifically for tonight. So just bear with me if I stumble a little, but I wrote this for you guys and the audience. So we're speaking about addiction. This word brings many different meanings to mind. But when we're speaking about drug addiction, different understandings and visions appear like a collage of bad memories. See, for some, it may be that they followed the crowd into the deeper end of the ocean and couldn't swim back. Then they started enjoying themselves a little too much, not realizing that everybody already swam back to shore and gone home to continue their lives. For others, there's trauma behind it. Those that experienced horrendous atrocities and found addiction as a form of masking their damage, pain, and suffering. No matter what the causes, reasons, or situations, what I do understand firsthand is addiction is painful. When you love someone that is an addict, you at times will put yourself in harm's way to try your best to help them. Now, this help may come in many forms. Sometimes it's a shower, hot meal, and a conversation, and maybe even a few bucks before they run out the door. Sometimes that love will even put them in your home, living with you. And as things go missing, fights ensue, you sometimes will take a loss of another relationship for the sake of this person. And you, putting yourself in this position, will confuse most normal, quote-unquote, human beings because we are reflexive and cast judgment as easy as we change our socks. I can attest to these situations firsthand. Although not being a substance addict, I have loved ones who are addicts, and I'm far from ashamed of admitting it. My uncle, who was a strong, loving figure in my life, lost his struggle to addiction. And although he fought many years to stay clean, worked, and appeared to be on the surface recovered, but he was not. You see, addiction and recovery is not a one-shot fix-all problem. To be an addict is to understand that innately you have a trigger, and it can be pulled at any moment. Maybe a song, a movie, or being around certain people will cause that trigger to be pulled. And for those of us around addicts who love them, need to understand that we wake up every day with a different struggle, while they live their lives every day compounded by that struggle. Please don't misunderstand that I mean this absolutely no disrespect to those dealing with addiction. I don't want to come off as a know-it-all or speak as if I've walked in your shoes. However, I'm just giving my perspective on my experiences lived and offer up myself and this platform to not only spread awareness, but to humanize these people to you. Stop believing that they are less or less deserving. No one wakes up tomorrow and says, yeah, I can't wait to be living on the street, unkempt, walking by those who knew me, that went on with their lives while I'm stuck in this vicious cycle. Plus, know that not all addicts are in this situation. There are addicts that are functional. They're your supervisors, bosses, and owners. We need to not only extend a little understanding, but we must get back to our true positions as people, as human beings, and try not only to exert empathy and understanding, but see them as they are, our brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, fathers, and mothers who have a different set of circumstances in this journey called life. My brothers, there's no way that I can thank either one of you for stepping to this platform and giving my audience the most realist and uncut part of yourself. Not many people understand what it takes to open up, especially when you're speaking about this struggle. People deal with shame and being judged and all this extra bullshit. But for me, like, I can't tell you how much I appreciate both of you for coming here tonight and sharing these stories. And you should always know that no matter what goes on going forward, whenever you guys want to talk to me, want to share, whatever it is, you can reach out to me. We can sit down. We can schedule a time. And the platform is always yours. Because I really don't believe that people understand how this is killing so many of us based off of shame. Shame alone. And for you guys to come here tonight and do what you're doing, it touches my heart. It definitely does. So, I respect y'all, and I want everybody in my audience to know that these gentlemen, they didn't even hesitate. I asked, they jumped right in. So before we end the show, I want to give the platform to either one of you gentlemen. Some last words, some final thoughts, or whatever it is. Just the floor is yours.
Go, Ricky.
All right. Man, listen. No thanks. Thank you. For real, for real. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me this platform, this pillar to let me express myself and my story's real, my story's truth. I see my kids is watching, my sisters,
Yes, they
a
are.
lot of my close friends. Um, I love y'all, man. I love y'all so much, and y'all know what it is. Um, forever forward, forever sucker free. Um, for
That's
real, man.
right.
I'm just it just I can't express how much of a beautiful life it is, man. Um, with the as challenging as it is, because on top of everything I do every day, I take on a lot of burdens of other people, of other addicts and stuff. Um, but I know how to release. And I don't have to pick up today. I've learned the biggest thing I learned is to love myself. I love me more than I love anything else in this world, man. And hey, look, my smile, man. Look at this smile, King. You know what I'm saying? I'm just happy, man. I'm catching. I don't want to have to start and stand up and start jumping in this motherfucker. But so I'm gonna pass it off to Marc. But yo, Marc, you inspire me, brother. And
Vice versa. Vice
it's
versa.
been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure meeting you.
You too, my
And
brother.
now we connected. Uh, so
Thank
let's get it.
No,
Let's get
let's
it, man.
definitely get it. I appreciate that.
All right.
So three things. One is I've heard people say that I'm no longer an addict. Let me clarify that. There's no such thing as you're no longer an addict. I'll be an addict until God takes me. The only difference is I'm not an addict that uses today. I'm an addict that has principles.
That's right.
Today.
That's right.
That's the only difference. There's nothing that separates me from the person that's getting ready to take that hit right this second, other than I don't use today. That's the only difference. I'm no better because I may be driving and they're on the sidewalk does not make me better, because for the grace of God goes I. At any moment I can be that person, and I never forget that. The second thing I want to say is I always keep my recovery up front. I always keep my last run. My sponsor always says, keep your last run up here so you don't ever forget where you came from, so you don't ever go back to that, right? If anybody out there that's either on my Facebook page or Ricky's Facebook page or Ernst's Facebook page or the show's Facebook page, you want to holler at me, you got my number, Ernst. You can pass them off to either. I'm sure Rickyy too. You can pass them off to either one of us. I'm sure we're both, I'm sure I can speak for Rickyy. We're both here to help any addict answer any question. Look, if you don't understand, don't listen to somebody that doesn't know. We both lived this. This was his life. I still live it. My mom's, again, is still getting high. Right? I'm still in the hood. I still go to the block.
Word.
Call me, reach out to me, text me, and we'll give you the answer on how you should proceed forward to the best of our ability. All right? And with that being said, man, again, anybody can be an addict. Don't judge. Don't judge anybody. And we didn't ask to go through this. We were born with the disease of addiction. And those that don't believe that this is a disease, they don't know what they're talking about. This is a disease just like cancer is a disease. Nobody chooses to be an addict. Nobody. I never met a person that said, hey, again, I want to be a fucking drug addict, because it's hell. It's pure hell. So with that being said, I'm going to simply say this. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. My brother.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Gentlemen, there's no words for me to say. You already know what it is. And like I said, as far as the future's concerned, you already know I will be speaking to you brothers again. Mr. Valentine, you know we'll be lining up the in-person interview, and I'm waiting for the exclusive on that launch.
The wing.
Yeah. If everybody on the set is watching right now, make sure you go check out New York City Hot Wings.
New York City Hot Wings, man.
This
is a cheap plug for the wings. New York City Hot Wings, baby.
New York City Hot Wings with Marc David Valentine. And Mr. Adorno, keep doing the great work that you're doing.
Yes.
I mean,
you already know.
We need you, brother.
I see my man Mr. Rivera's constantly posting Mr. Adorno's daily updates when he gets up in the morning, and they're self-affirmations, and they make you feel good. When you read them, you just feel like shit. If this motherfucker's that happy, what am I doing with my life? You heard?
Right. Yes, sir.
Gentlemen,
one more comment. If nobody told y'all out there they love you today,
I love you.
I love you.
I love you.
I love you, man. For real.
There you go. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure. Thank you for being on the show, and we will be speaking soon.
Yeah, wait. One more thing. Shout out to my people in the Lower East Side. LES love.
LES. All right.
All right.
Thank you,
Good
gentlemen.
All
right.
So, before everybody leaves the room, I want to ask you, did you enjoy the show? I also want to know, did you guys learn anything? Do you appreciate what we brought to the forefront here at the set? I hope you did, because these two gentlemen did not have to step forward and expose their lives to you. But what I want you to know is that's what this platform is about. It's not a platform where, I'm here to make money and go crazy and, try to sell you lollipops and whatever. No. This platform is for the people. I want to bring real people with real experiences to connect with the people that watch the show. Maybe you learn something. Maybe you find out how to start a business, which I'm pitching. I'm trying to get a couple on here to talk about real estate and purchasing a home. And I know it may sound crazy. We're in our 40s or 30s, or I don't know how old everybody is, but again, it's about the information and bringing that information to the people. So just understand that. I hope everybody watching tonight has a sense of fulfillment. We will be having more shows coming up. I'll flash some banners. Wednesday we'll have Martin Black Rivera, the underground and unsigned producer, coming to the show. Then on Sunday, November 1st, Mighty Healthy Part 2 with Julian Answer. He's a Muay Thai fighter. Going to be an amazing share. And then on Sunday, November 8th, Mr. James Squatch Joyce will be here to speak on the set. And I hope everybody can make it out for that one. So, as always, in closing out the show, let me salute everybody real quick. Ms. Rodriguez, Mr. Lopez, Ms. Morales, Miss Estella, I seen you all night. Ms. Reyes, Ms. Denise Diaz, Ms. Morales, and everybody on the set tonight. I see all of y'all. Yes, that's who I'm trying to get. Team Mesa up here. Live the life you love and love the life you live. And I'm out of here. I love y'all.